their phones, please.
Recording in progress.
And could we rise for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. We have some minutes of our board meeting held on February 7th. This would be a non-public session. Could I have a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll move it.
And a second?
Second.
Everybody's moving and seconding. You pass that down, please. Sunny? Thank you. And then we have minutes of our regular meeting held on that same day, February 7th. Could I have a motion to accept those?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Some more on one and some on the other. There you go. I think it's the second page, Sharon.
It's on there anyway.
We have a public hearing that I'm going to open to the, I'm gonna open a public hearing. This will take me a moment. I have to read down through this whole thing. This is in accordance with RSA 31:95/C to take public comment on changing the purpose of the Special Revenue Fund, known as the Fire, Ambulance, Equipment, and Apparatus Fund, to see if the town will vote to amend the vote taken on Article 7 at the 1999 annual meeting to restrict all revenues from ambulance billings to be deposited in the Special Revenue Fund, known as the Fire, Ambulance, Equipment, and Apparatus Fund, to instead restrict all but the first $124,500 of revenues from ambulance billings received during the 2024 budgetary year to be deposited in the Special Revenue Fund, known as the Fire, Ambulance, Equipment, and Apparatus Fund. The first $124,500 of revenues from ambulance billings will be deposited in the town's general fund to defray the cost items identified below. This restriction shall only be effective for the 2024 budgetary year. They are as follows: training expenses, $3,000, medical and supply expenses, $30,000, ambulance billing fees, $20,000, overtime, $40,000, telephone, $2,000, conference and dues, $1,500, office expense, $12,000, vehicle repair and parts, $8,000, fuel, $8,000. Please note that this is something that we have to do each and every year by law because it is a special revenue fund. The purpose in which we are allocating these funds are directly for the fire department and fall within the purpose of the special revenue fund. We are not defraying funds to any other purpose or department fund. I'll open it for any public comment. I think most of us here know what this is. Seeing there's no, seeing there's no public comment, I will close public. And gentlemen, is there anything? Sharon? No?
Business as usual.
Business as usual, all right. We will consider this public hearing closed. Okay. We will move on to new business. TAC alternate appointment for Brian Jacks.
Yes, this is housekeeping. They appoint this position every 2 years, and it is Brian's reappointment time that would start in April 4th of 2024. So I do have a motion provided if you would like Brian to remain on that committee as the...
Has he agreed to remain on that committee?
You know right where it's gonna go.
Have you agreed, Brian, to remain on that committee?
Yeah.
We thank you for doing that, okay? Would someone like to make that
I'll
motion?
make
Yeah, really?
a motion to reappoint Brian Jacks to serve as the Belmont representative on the Transportation Advisory Committee, known as TAC, for the term to expire in April 2026.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have a unanimous vote, Brian, to stay on that committee. Thank you. Thank you. Emergency plan.
No, one more.
Would you like me to
Oh.
press that one, or I'll ask town planner Karen to come up. We had kind of devised an emergency plan that was specific to town hall only. We had some new people in the office and some concerns about what do we do in the event of a fire and this and that. So
Okay.
Karen took it upon herself to kind of dive into it and.
As I've done them before for other towns I've worked in, I kind of borrowed a template for basically an emergency action plan. It is about a dozen pages. I've worked with both fire and with the police department just as far as an evacuation plan. We did have the toaster incident.
Oh, yeah, that's right, the toaster incident.
And that kind of also brought it back to the forefront.
Sure.
If there's a fire, where do we go? What do we do? There was no meeting location, so I've taken a plan, and right now, just with the town hall building, we can use that same plan and move it out
Of
to other
course.
buildings if necessary, just modify it
Mhm.
if appropriate. Basically, like I said, it has the emergency numbers for the electric service, for the, who do you call if this happens, if in the event of a fire, we all leave the building, we've created new floor plans, kind of updating this. Offices have changed, there's new people, you exit from this door, this is your primary exit, this is your second exit, we all meet at the lower parking lot for the police department, and to designate, the only thing I think we have left is to just kind of designate a couple of people to who, we'll just do a checklist.
I was gonna say, how do you know, because you have to determine if someone's not there that day, or they're out for a meeting or something, that's the scary.
And we have, like I know on my phone I can access email and the calendar, so I can see on the calendar, we have the out-of-office
If someone's-
calendar. If, for example, I'm taking the checklist and Alicia's not there, I can look on the calendar, okay, she's away, she's out, she's not missing.
Mhm.
In the event, take the public with you,
Mhm.
if you've got a member of the public, they need to exit the building. If there's a fire, what do you do? And it kind of spells it out, and it's more just to make you aware that this is there and
Mhm.
that, we'd like to implement it. Like I said, there's a couple of very minor pieces just to designate a couple of people who, in the event of some sort of action that we have to leave the building, who's gonna be the primary, who do you look for?
Mhm.
Is it, is it Alicia, is it me, is it,
Mhm.
town clerk, whomever it
Yeah.
ends up being. Like I said, it's just kind of bringing you up to speed, it's there, it has everything from fire to medical emergency. We did relocate the AED, we do have one in the building. It was tucked in the mailroom. If you were in there and somebody said, go get the AED, you try to give somebody directions to the mailroom, that's not gonna
Sure,
work.
sure.
Simple things like relocating that with a sign, say, it's here if you
Mhm.
need it.
Mhm.
So basically just making you aware and, if.
And I assume it's been made aware for everyone that's in the building.
We will, we're gonna,
Yeah.
the intent is to distribute it and have a 5-minute meeting with each
Sure.
department, just saying this is here.
Yeah.
Kind of review it, become familiar with it, there'll be a copy probably in like a red folder that would just be in each department that you could,
Yep.
access.
Awesome.
So
Good.
just-
The employee should sign for that.
Yeah, each department head would,
Yeah, but each employee in that town hall that should sign that they received that.
they've read it similar to.
Read it and received it, and that receipt should go into their file or wherever it was at. Because that way you can't say, I wasn't told and I didn't know.
So there's a couple of minor tweaks to make and then we'll get it ready to distribute and
Awesome.
we just wanted to make
Good.
you aware and
Thank you.
it's there.
Wonderful.
Hopefully we never need it, it's one of those things, you wanna need it and not, you don't wanna
Mhm.
need it
You're not gonna have a fire drill, are you?
We actually talked about actually an emergency drill, maybe, I believe the chief was saying in the spring. You know,
Yep.
something, just
Yep.
so that people know where to go, you
Yep.
know, and
Might
just
be.
to kind of, if we find out there's things we need to fine tune.
Yep.
And unfortunately, you know, it's one of those things, you don't wanna be in a situation where you.
No, when you try, you're right, that's exactly right. Pre-prepared.
We like to plan.
There you go, plan ahead, there you go. Okay, thank you. Our next order of business is, our bell tower light quote. Patrick?
Morning, Board.
Morning.
Right now, the bell tower lights haven't been used from what I can tell, about 6 or 7 years. The old-fashioned lights, we went up and took them, inspected them, they are completely rusted out. So, with all the work that we've done in town, I just feel that it would be a very nice thing to drive to the town and see that bell tower lit up. So we did a quote with Go Electric, which is our in-town electrician, to put 2 LED lights back up there, which would be pennies to run, with a photocell, so it doesn't have a timer. It would just run on the daylight, night light situation, so power goes off, they will still, when it comes back on, they'll still work perfectly, where the old-fashioned timers, you gotta go back up and reset them, they're a pain in the butt.
They're paying.
It actually came in lower than what I thought it would be. Total cost to do that installation is $540.
Any questions from anyone? No? All right. Do we want to make a
Yeah.
motion?
I'll make a motion. Motion to accept a quote from Go Electric in the amount of $540. Move forward with a mill power tower light replacement.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Board.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
High school generator.
Yes, we had a request from the school, in regards to their generator, and I have Mike Tracy and Steve here to explain if they would like any further. They, have explained to me that their generator at the high school is kind of hobbling along, and that they, need to purchase a new one in the near future, and if the town was interested in splitting that cost, as it is our designated emergency shelter location for the town.
Okay. Well, we know that we have to buy a generator for this building, so we know that we're, that's, I think, our next move forward for here. Do you have a quote for that and everything? Come. No, come right up. Come right up.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we do have a quote. Basically, there's somewhat of a more immediate need than the last time we talked about the generator. We feel that at this point it needs to be replaced. We're not going to make clearly another winter season out of it. It's really hobbling along this winter. We've made some great efforts in trying to make sure that that generator is running to its full capacity by emptying out all the old diesel fuel that was in there. I believe the town came and picked that up. We put new diesel fuel in there. We've replaced what parts we can replace, but we cannot get parts for that generator anymore. Several of the parts that we needed to replace were very difficult to find, or they weren't even able to find those parts. We're looking to upgrade that generator. We've gone for 2 rounds now through the state and their SAFE grants to replace that generator. It was denied. We worked with the town. I believe it was a FEMA grant that we were going for to replace that generator. That was denied. We've been talking about this with our Building and Grounds Committee. We know that there's a need to replace it. So the Building and Grounds Committee wanted me to approach the Board of Selectmen to see if we'd be willing to pay 50% of that generator. The exact cost, the quote right now is $59,786 for the generator. That doesn't include the propane hookup. We have propane tanks right there on site that we'd be able to hook right up to, so we'd anticipate that's probably a couple grand more. So a little over $60,000 to replace that generator. So we're just looking to see if the Board of Selectmen would be willing to pay pay 50% of that cost.
What are you gonna do with the diesel tank that's in the ground?
There is no diesel tank.
Is it?
No, it's
Well, how did
it's
it,
underneath the unit.
it's underneath the unit itself, so when the unit goes, it goes with it.
Right, the town will come pump all the fuel out, and that goes with it, yep. We'll give the fuel to the town.
How much is propane right now?
I don't know off the top of my
I
head.
don't know that number, but I'll
I'd like to know that number, because I offered the school, as you recall, to do what the town did and what we did with the police department, because I have a consortium agreement that we'd buy it through Irving at a very cheap price minus the taxes. So it's well under $2 a gallon for propane, and there's not many people can buy propane for anywhere near that.
Yeah, I believe we looked into that, Mr. Pike, and with our locked-in agreement, I want to say we're right around that cost. So, again,
You could let Alicia know, I'd
Yeah,
appreciate what you're saying.
absolutely.
Do each one of the schools have a generator?
No, Belmont High School is the only school that has a generator. The memorial building at, where the SAU office is located has a generator, but none of the other two schools in Belmont.
So if we lose our electricity, our kids have no electricity in those buildings?
That's correct.
This is just my own, I guess I'm a little perplexed, first off, that there's not a capital account set up to maybe have foresee this coming on, and I guess I'm a little put out that our schools don't have generators.
So we started looking into that, particularly around what the cost would be to install generators into the other
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
It's very expensive by all means, particularly
middle school.
the middle school is
Because of the
very
age.
expensive.
Mhm.
You know, at this point, we've started talking about that. It hasn't been discussed in the past, but the immediate need right now is the one at the high school because it is the emergency shelter.
Yeah.
And really, for the high school purposes, if we didn't have electricity in that area, you know, I have the option to close school, where that's not an option for an emergency shelter. So really the main purpose, my understanding, the generator was installed at the high school, when the high school was built, was for the emergency shelter, not necessarily to run the school itself if there was a loss of electricity. So the priority really is that emergency shelter for that generator.
Because the problem is for us, our budget's already done. I mean, we already have our budget done for the year, so, for us to come up with funds, we've gotta take it, I don't know where we're gonna take it from. I mean, because our budget's already set. And I guess maybe we need to spend some time with our chiefs and discuss if the school doesn't have a generator, maybe we should be looking at someplace else for an emergency place versus using the high school, I guess.
Yeah, because
I mean-
my thought on it is if we're paying half of it from the town money, we're already paying.
I
People
know.
are already paying money to the school, so we're paying. The town people are going to end up paying 75-80% of the generator cost.
Well, at least 50% of it anyways, that's
Well,
what
50
they're.
just from the town, and then another however percentage from the school that they pay for.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
So on that note, I did discuss, you know, some options. The way the school district is gonna fund that is because we have a retained fund balance that the voters approve, that we can keep basically up to 5% of our unreserved fund balance.
Mhm.
And I know that the town also has a fund balance that you fortunately can carry over every year, which is a little over $2 million. So we're looking to basically use our retained fund balance, and maybe the town can use your fund balance that you can carry over year after year, which is, according to DRAs, are a little over $2 million. I believe you use that money as overlay to offset taxes. So there is a pool of money that the town could use to tap into for the.
But at this point, of course, we don't know what that's going to be. We won't know what that fund balance is until, when? That would be,
In the fall, but I think for us, we would have to have a warrant article asking
Yes.
to use the fund balance for specific purposes.
Yeah, we can't dip. We're not a council, so we can't dip into it without the vote of the people.
without the voters. I wondered that. I think it's our question. No? All right. Okay. So I guess at this point, if we're going to fund this, we would have to put it on in our budget for next year, correct? Where our budget has already been set for this year? Or we have to wait till fall to see if we have monies? No, we can't do that without doing a vote.
Well, the only fund you could take from now would be your municipal facilities account.
All right.
I guess you could.
And that's what's paying for the
I could
generator
look
for this
into
building?
If that could,
Yeah.
be funded for the school where it's
Mhm.
a separate entity, kind of, if we're looking to use the fund balance, that would have to go for next year
Mhm.
as a warrant article.
Steve, do you have the specs on that generator? The proposed generator? It seems a very reasonable price compared to what we've just been shopping for this
I
building.
was curious too.
Yeah.
because
I'd like to look at your specs, give me a copy of them, only because,
The one we wanna purchase?
yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring a copy of that down, sure.
you give it to Alicia and I'll pick it up here. Now, my only question is, here we are shopping for a generator for this building we're proposing to put in, and your numbers are a lot less than ours
But
are.
understand, our panel is already set up for it, so they don't have to do the.
There's no electrical.
Side, the transfer switch and all that's already there.
But it makes a good argument to see the cost of the unit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll be happy to share that with you.
Yeah.
I hate standing on water.
Yeah.
This was, Gemini Electric was the people that we ended up, getting that through.
All right. Patrick?
Just what is the lead time?
30 weeks,
30 weeks?
30 weeks.
Boy, that's come down a lot.
It's come down, it was over a year.
Yeah.
And I think if we ordered it, it probably could even be less than that now, because now it's starting to head towards normal anyways.
Okay.
So it sounds like it's different on the town side, because on the school side, for our fund balance, our retained fund balance, we have to have a public hearing in order to withdraw monies from that fund balance. What you're saying is that you actually have to develop a warrant article on the town side. Just curious as to why that's different. You know, which is.
No.
which is
Don't ask
also-
me.
Which is also different, you know, in the sense that, you know, the town can carry that fund balance over year after year, so you know those monies are there, where the school district each year has to determine the percentage that it's gonna carry up to the 5%. So the town is actually more, in a better situation to access their fund balance than the school district is, and that's why I'm thinking that the school district and the town, they have those monies that they can access. I'd be very curious if there are warrant articles necessary in order to access those fund
I'm happy
balances.
to.
Yeah, to look in, yeah, yep, we can look into that, we'll look into that and see. It's just, and obviously Travis brought the first thing that came to my mind, it's like, okay, so we're already paying, as taxpayers, we're already paying the school budget, and now you want the townspeople to now come up with monies from their town budget to help pay for it. I understand why, because obviously if there was an emergency, we use the high school. I guess it gives us something to look into. We need to look into that and obviously have a conversation with our emergency management people and see, you know, and we'll have to get back to you.
So
At
what
this
I'm
point.
hearing is that the board's open to it, you just wanna do some more research on it?
Well, it's been long enough since the thing croaked in the middle of winter,
Right.
because it hadn't been running a long time.
No, it gets
No,
run,
Exactly.
it runs every week.
it runs
Right.
every week on the schedule.
But it didn't run that night,
That's absolutely right. It did.
but I was called about it not running.
But I do preventive maintenance, I do a major and a minor PM on it every year. It starts every Friday, it starts at 2:30 and runs for half an hour. You know, I can't predict if there's one time when it's not gonna stop, but it's getting
I
old,
understand.
Yeah,
you know.
all right. Yeah, give us a chance to do
We
some,
should have started this procedure a little bit before we did our budgetary process, and that would put us in a
Well,
better.
I understand, Mr. Pike, we really just are at a point now where I'm thinking that we're gonna be able to pull this along and put it in a proposed budget for the following year, but based on the most recent maintenance request, in order to keep that thing running, it's more of an immediate need at this point, so.
I don't wanna need it, not have it again.
Right.
I understand.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm definitely open to it if we can access the special fund, but if we have to go through a warrant article, we're already way too late into the cycle to do it.
Our goal is really just it's a collaborative process, you know, and yeah, it's all coming out of the same tax bill, however, it's the town and the school district
Yeah.
working together, which we
Yeah.
have very
Yeah,
closely on
in the past,
many other
that's for
projects,
sure.
so.
All right, give us a little bit of time to do some, research, and maybe we'll let you know if we've got our ducks in a row for the next meeting, and maybe you could stop back by the next meeting.
Love to.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right,
That quote off later today for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
just drop it at the town hall for Alicia, and I'll pick it up there.
Got it.
Got it?
yeah. Yes,
Hi, Christina Benoit. My question, have you also made this proposal to Canterbury Town so that their share can come out of the remaining 30,000? I walked in the middle of this, sorry.
So, that's a good question. So we actually talked about this, so the access to the emergency shelter, very rarely are you gonna have a Canterbury resident coming to
Belmont.
Belmont to access this emergency shelter. It's really specific to Belmont and the region. So that's why we're approaching Belmont.
yeah.
Can I just have a form of clarification? Why is it just focused on the shelter? I mean, we go into a deep freeze and the school doesn't have supporting
Right, that was kind of,
generator to, prevent its pipes and so on and so forth. So why is this even being looked at on the shelter side and not on the educational side? In each one of our schools.
well, that was kind of why I asked. I guess I assumed that there were generators in the buildings, and that was my thought, was our whole reasoning for having and getting this building generated is because it cools down so fast, the age of the building, and God forbid, if the pipes burst, it's gonna be a far bigger problem for all of us, or your insurance company won't like you, or whatever. And so I'm surprised that there's not generators in these buildings for that reason alone.
Yeah, they just haven't been installed for years. Again, we're talking about that at the Building Grounds Committee at this point, putting it on the CIP to add generators to the other buildings. To Donna's question, if we went into a deep freeze and we had pipes break and so forth at the high school, yeah, we're looking at the educational aspect of it all. However, when there's an immediate need for an emergency shelter, that's really the priority for our families to be able to come in and stay warm and be fed and shower if they needed to, all of that. So we're looking at the priority of the need and the immediate.
So why does the SAU office have a generator but our schools don't?
Because it was originally installed with the memorial building.
Was it?
Mhm.
Okay, all
It's the original generator,
right. Okay.
I just have one more,
Yeah,
just to add
which
to
is
that.
old too.
I was a school board member, and I was also on building and grounds for my 3-year tenure. And during that period of time, it was supposed to be a capital plan for windows, roofs, and this generator. And if you go back, and it was a quite long time ago, this should have already been funded over a period of time so that this conversation isn't happening. So I'm more perplexed by the fact that,
so it had been discussed in the past.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, it's actually not obvious. It was before both of your times.
Yes, it was. However, we do have the roof and, well, we don't necessarily need a window replacement at this point, but the roof.
Yeah, but there was
the
supposed to
roof
be a
is on
clean,
CIP.
there was supposed to be, we don't come in and say, oh, we need $1 million to go replace windows. I mean, it was supposed to be a plan that would be spread out. It was a whole big document that each year you would put X amount of dollars away, so there'd be no big hits, as we all have to do here. I mean, fire department wants a truck, I mean, they're paying X amount, they're building that account. So then when we get to that point, we're being proactive with a lot of the big ticket items, no different than highway department or, PD. So
So I want to be clear that we do have a building and grounds capital improvement plan that's been in play for years and years. The generator just did not make it on there from past discussions.
And I
If you go
apologize,
on
this
front
is
of
a
our
school board
website, you can see that
conversation.
CIP. It's brought up every year during the budget season. It includes many large ticket items such as paving and so forth. So please, I want to make sure people are aware that the school district does have a capital improvement plan for both building and grounds as well as technology.
Just as this just as a side note that I think that we all have capital plans to move forward, and sometimes there's a little hiccup in it because there has to be something that we hadn't planned on that popped up, so now we gotta set something back to, you know, you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, we do
Okay.
the same, we review our
All right.
CIPs every year.
Yeah.
And we would consider this to be one of those hiccups, and that's why we have a retained
Okay.
fund balance or a fund balance that carries it over year after year
All
on
right.
the town side to address some of these immediate needs.
Awesome.
Just real quick.
Yep.
Would it make sense for the CIP then to, rank the generators for the other schools kinda higher up on that plan?
That's what we're discussing right
Okay.
now. It's being discussed at building grounds. We're making adjustments to our CIP in general for some of our future projects to include those generators.
Yeah, cause I see broken pipes being a very costly fix to the school and taxpayers.
Yeah, and it's not gonna get any cheaper.
No, and it's, you know, to me, I look at it, if there's pipes, the insurance company's gonna say, gee, where's your generator? Or why didn't you have a generator, or whatever, and, you know, and the price goes up. Your insurance rates go up when you have stuff like that, yeah. All right,
So
okay,
I'm-
we'll,
I have a couple of questions in the immediate.
sorry,
So it was my understanding from being in a previous meeting, when the generator broke, when we tried to use it at the high school for the emergency shelter last time, it didn't work. And I was told that the middle school had one. Middle school doesn't have one.
Well, we consider the memorial school as part of the middle school, so that was a backup for an emergency shelter. We could house people at the memorial building. It's just a much smaller facility. It doesn't have
cafeteria, there's no
Right.
cafeteria.
Well, 'cause-
Shower, yeah.
So,
We could keep people warm, by all means, just be a tight.
just for my knowledge, so the storm happens Monday and we need that emergency shelter and you open it at the high school and the generator breaks, what happens as far as emergency management of the town at that point? What's gonna,
Well, we go through the emergency management protocol. If that was the case, we would be contacted, I'm sure, to see if we could open up the memorial building, which we would, by all means, fire department could open that right up and we could turn that into an emergency shelter if necessary. But our goal is to, you know, we've been really trying to stay on top of this generator, particularly through the winter months. And quite honestly, it's not the snow events that I'm worried about anymore. It's the high winds, ice events that were in flooding that
Yeah.
has our winter
Changed.
weather has changed quite significantly. So I'm more concerned about our seasons that we have high winds and high levels of rain, quite honestly. at this
And in
point.
all honesty,
Not just the
it seems
winter
like
issue.
lately, I know for us, our generator has to go on more in the summertime, it seems like lately, than it does even in the wintertime, and that's due to storms or high winds or whatever. All right, okay, we'll
appreciate it.
we'll do a little bit of, work, and, we'll be in touch with you,
Great, thank you
okay?
very much.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you, Steve.
This must be Jen. Our next item, yeah, Jen, town clerk, tax collector, delinquent notices, dear.
Yes, I
Yes.
just wanted to give you an update of where we are with the tax season, so to speak.
Okay.
As you know, taxes were due December 18th. Obviously, not everybody 100% paid. So we sent out our delinquent notices, which is to remind people that they have unpaid balances from the year before the lien process starts. We sent those out on the 16th. We sent out about 600 notices. At this point, the total delinquent taxes that haven't been paid is about 1.4 million, and the delinquent water and sewer is a little over 100,000. So, obviously, this is a great tool to recoup some of those funds. Obviously, we have people who consistently just don't pay it, and then we'll deal with that in the fall with the deed
With
process.
the deed process, yeah.
I've set the lien date for May 16th this year, so we're looking to send out the certified lien notices around April 12th. And yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an update on where we stand with all of our collection.
Is that a typical about this time of year, or does that seem to be a little bit high? And you might not know that, I'm just,
Well, I would would say it's pretty typical, and then these delinquent notices bring in a surge of income.
Sure.
Because, you know, sometimes people really do just forget. I don't
Yeah.
understand how you can pay your
I
taxes,
know.
but it happens. So, you know, but yeah, I would say it's pretty typical.
Okay.
It's pretty consistent year after year, and like I said, you know, you have the repeat offenders who just don't do anything, and, you know, it's
Yep.
a cycle.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks.
All right, okay. Okay, our next item is the Winnipesaukee River Basin program. This has to do with the Route 140 force main analysis. Craig, do you wanna speak on this, Brian? I mean,
You guys got the report.
we have the report.
So we've been haggling around with this for quite a while. So, I mean, basically, you know, they're proposing that they replace the whole line. But what we gotta understand is, you know, they sent out an RFP to these engineers, and from A to B. So, and we've all discussed the fact that we think we should
Slip line some.
well, we should attack the first section where we're having all the problems. My belief is, in reading the report, you know, they don't specify how they, you know, how they inspected the line. I mean, like I said, I have my theories on the way pipe is installed, because we know that that one section wasn't installed correctly. But, you know, the other sections, the cross-country sections, where they're raised up and the materials are more suitable and the backfilling was done with a different material, I mean, that pipe may be fine. I think what needs to be done is, what's gonna happen is, if we don't go on the offense with this, and we don't take the next step and go above the WRBP and get a hold of DES and whoever's running this show, we're gonna be stuck with this $9 million bill. And as you see in the report, you know, $2 million out of that $9 million report is for engineering. So when someone says they want to design something, engineers are gonna go in and they're gonna do, you know, soup to nuts. So,
Well, I think we've got a complaint against the people. I know it's been 30 years, more than that.
Oh, it's been 40, 50, 45?
Well,
How old is this?
in 1964, I did a thesis for my high school and followed the Winnipesaukee River Basin project, because I get out of school to go to these meetings, from Plymouth to Franklin, all down through the Lakes region. Now, if you come out take your boat and go out on Lake Winnisquam, the sewer line goes along beside the railroad tracks, and it's all encased in cement. The line is inside the cement. This line that leads right here, goes out through the valley, out across here, is on an old railroad track bed when we had a railroad station in Belmont. And it followed it right out by the coke plant. That part of that line, I don't think you're gonna find anything wrong with it, because that railroad bed was there for 100 years prior. Then the state decided 20 years ago that we need an east-west highway. So the traffic count on 140 and the truck traffic has increased because they put some money into 140 over on the Gilmanton side to speed it along. But where this line is bad, it's just like driving over a sponge. If you stood there and these trucks out of Pike Industries and the tractor trailers going east and west, it'll just jar you and it's shaking that line apart. It should have been embedded, and it wasn't.
well, I think that might have something to do with it, John, but I think the majority of the problem is soils, like anything, become corrosive. So when you're dealing with soils in a swamp, so you've got like a peat type material or something like that, a lot of iron in it, it's basically rotting the pipe from the outside in.
Yep.
And
I agree with that.
and
And we spread salt like it's free.
the repairs, well, the repairs that I've seen, and the 3 or 4 repairs, I mean, literally the bottom of the pipe is deteriorating. And they're having problems with ductile iron pipe all around the state that's been installed in those type of situations. But like I say, if that pipe is installed in a proper bed of materials, you're not gonna have problems. I've made the case you know, like a lot of people are complaining about, you know, our lines in town are old, and yeah, our cast iron line, but the soils that surround those pipes
Is what holds them.
is just a very suitable select material.
Well, I
You
know when,
I've made the point that, you know, and I've said this before, when Concord did their revitalization downtown, they didn't replace the pipe, the water pipe. That pipe, the engineers estimated that is the life expectancy has another 75 years. And I asked the gentleman who runs the place down there, I said, how old is that pipe that runs down through the main street of Concord, the cast iron pipe? And he said it was installed in 1894. So it doesn't have anything to do with the age of the pipe. It's how the pipe is taken care of when it's initially installed.
well, you know, a good example is when Guilford lost their line
Yeah.
from Laconia to Guilford. That was like an Easter weekend, I think.
Did they
And
replace the whole line?
no, they slip lined the whole thing.
That's what I'm saying.
They claim,
Yeah.
from what I understand, because I talked with the contractors and whatever, that it was so deep in places, and because it's spring, Easter is spring, and they had constructed over the top of it. So could be people's houses are on top of the line, I have no idea. So they slip lined it, all right? And from the research that I've done, the slip lining material that they're using is probably even better than the cast iron. It's not corrosive.
Yeah, and I've talked to some people, some pretty knowledgeable people who have dealt with the situation down there, I should say.
Yeah.
And they are in belief that you could put a bypass line in from point A to point B, and you could slip line that.
Yeah.
But these engineers are working on direction.
Well, it's quite obvious this is the Cadillac.
Exactly.
$9 million is more
But
than
you
a
know what?
Cadillac.
If you as a board, if you don't speak up and you don't find out who to talk to, you're gonna get stuck with the Cadillac.
I understand that.
And, you know,
It's hard because one thing that happens though, Craig, is if we make an issue of this line and they say, okay, well, we'll just replace what we think is the issue where all the leaks have happened along 140. And then 2 years from now, leaks start springing up, you know, down in the pasture there, down heading, right? It's our expense. We have to pay for any leaks. And reason being is because this is a line that goes, a little bit is Northfield, 2.5% of this is Northfield. And then it comes, the rest is Belmont's. And it's a line specifically, yeah, the state owns the line, but we have to pay to keep it up and pay to replace it, and it's on us.
well, I think if nothing else, we need to do our due diligence
Yeah.
and research
Yeah.
somebody else giving us an assessment of that line.
Well, I think the other issue is somewhere in here, and I can't remember exactly where I read, that they were looking at the soils, okay? They haven't come in and done any soil samples. It's some engineer sitting in an
Yeah,
office
there you go.
looking at.
Well, they look at geomaps.
Right, they look at geomaps.
Okay, so this soil should be here, and this
Right.
soil, so
Right.
they're not
out
they
there.
haven't physically gone out and done any, you know, test digs to see how, not that I know of.
No, I know.
And we are around, we usually would kind of see something like that.
You would see them if they were doing
we would.
soil.
So,
Yeah.
I just think that, you know, we could sit around and not take this report lightly, but if we don't,
I think at one of our meetings, if I remember correctly, at one of the meetings that we were at, we talked about the fact to try to send a letter to the state and say, gee, you know, this puts a burden that our sewer people can't pay.
I do have some recommendations for the board, sitting with the other community members who
Yes.
are part of the
Yeah.
Woonsocket River Basin, who have seen this and who have dealt with this for many years. You know, their suggestion to Belmont is that we, like Craig said, go fighting, and that we suggest that Belmont is willing to take the risk of just addressing the area that has the leaks instead of the whole entire line. because it's a need first, since all the other areas have not shown any breaks, for that, they relook at all the alternatives and give Belmont their assessment of, this is alternative A with a cost, this is alternative B with a cost. Have them drill down more and give the options, have them provide the financing too, of what this is going to cost. Through the discussions, the reasons for them not doing it in sections, their thing is cost of the overhead and mobilization.
Sure.
Others that have been done this before have said that is such a minute cost of this that they're trying to scare us with, that
Right.
it's,
Because obviously,
Small in
how much mobility is it gonna take if they had to replace that line from the pump station up through the field to the Coke plant? Nothing. There's nothing there, okay? It's, some of it is scare tactics.
We're just giving you more options.
Yeah,
and that the community needs to see options that align with our ability to pay.
Of
because
course.
It is strictly just on the ratepayers.
and you know, they talk about in here applying for grants.
Yeah.
But you know, it's really hard to support something if you don't think you're gonna get a grant, or you don't have, you know, I mean, this would be us sitting here saying, oh, we're gonna do what the state says, and 2023 pricing is $9.5 million. Now, how many sewer users do we have? 1,400, maybe? Divided by 30 years, divided by 9 million, you know,
And if you
it's,
do get a grant, is it gonna have to be approved by the voters?
right, you're exactly right.
We've been through this.
Grants, there's always those fine lines, which we all hear, you know, there's always the fine print.
Yeah.
And I would also ask that we request to see the full report, not just the executive
Oh, yeah.
summary. And, like Craig said, they talk about the soil samples, well, where's the proof and how did you collect the samples, and
Yeah.
we wanna see those.
I mean, we're not saying no, we are asking
Yeah.
questions.
Where's the RFP for the work?
Right, where's the complete?
How were you instructed to go forward?
I'd like to see a breakdown of the engineering and design services that are 1.6 million. Okay? I mean, that's,
They work on a percentage.
I
They
understand
estimate
that.
off 20% of the
So
cost,
that's,
I'm
Yeah.
like,
I
geez.
mean, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, we're working on Middle Road right now, so we're doing we're marking out the trees, we've done the stationing, we're trying to do everything we can to minimize costs. So if we get an engineer and they say we're gonna spend $1 million on it, we're gonna spend $250,000 just on
Yeah.
engineering.
For the engineer to tell you to take down the trees that you already got marked, I know,
So,
I'm
yeah,
not the
I
most.
mean, there's a risk. There's a risk in it, but I think Brian and I will do okay.
Well, I think if nothing else, I think we need to ask some questions, and we need a little bit more, you know, we don't disagree that we have a problem.
We need to find out who to contact above
What do you think, guys?
WRBP. So,
Oh, I think we should research it a little bit, I really do, because
Sharon?
that's a big problem.
Yeah, because this is, I'm a sewer user, so.
Yeah.
This is the sewer line, so.
I agree with Craig, we should definitely dig in deeper and fight on this, cause $9.5 million is a little insane.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when our issue has been in a core area, not the
If we
entire
sit back
thing.
on our hands, they're basically gonna do it, and they're gonna say, you know what, here you go.
And give you the
And
bill.
make you pay the bill.
Has there
And they've done
been,
it to different communities as well, that have stood idly by, and they've magically said, we're gonna do this, and then they've given you the bill, and it's gone through, from what I've heard, it's gone through legal, it's gone through all kinds of steps and hoops and jumps.
Yes, I made the comment at the last meeting, I think, the last meeting, I said, well, you know, let them do it and send us the bill, and we'll work on trying to figure out how someday we're gonna pay it. And I guess you have to pay it immediately because they have you in court, the state will have you in court immediately. And unfortunately, this is an old system, and there were lots of agreements made before all of our time, and now we gotta live with them. Okay, awesome. Will, do you,
We need a name in Concord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to
we need to
definitely
do
fight
some,
it.
yeah.
We need a
I'll
name.
get you a name.
Okay.
I think also trying to, his idea about having somebody else come in and do a study might be something that we should look at too.
Well, the only problem is, if we request that, we're gonna have to pay for that. That's gonna be on us. That's the problem. You know, you can hire all the, yeah, they'll love to have somebody else come in and have us pay for it, and use ours and still bill us, kind of thing, yeah, yeah. Let's find out what we
When
can,
you look at it deep down and dirty, this report, you know who's gonna end up, we're gonna end up paying for that anyway. I mean, they may not be billing us now, but we will be billed later.
And can we request the full report, not just a summary?
We did at our last meeting, so I'm just waiting for
Okay.
it to officially arrive.
awesome, all right. Another thing that we need to work on.
Yeah, well,
I've been trying to go to the meetings. I think, in the beginning, they weren't talking slip lining at all.
no.
And,
They wanna do it their way.
right, and so, but at least they stuck a few slip lines in here or there, but, yeah, all right, okay.
So while I got you guys, other new business, we're gonna start posting the roads Monday, so.
Monday?
The springtime week.
Funny, John and I were just talking about that the other day, when they were gonna be posted, 'cause we passed one of the haulers coming off from, Durham Mountain Road.
So
Oh, they're
the
hauling.
ad in the paper should run probably, I think Thursday, Friday, Brian? Yeah. So we're gonna run an ad Thursday, Friday. We've been calling everyone that we can think of. The pits have been calling people, and we talked to the loggers that are doing business in town and stuff like that.
They've
Do
been
you
hauling,
post Levitt Road, do you?
Oh, yeah.
oh, yeah,
You
they're
do?
all posted.
Okay, I was wondering if you posted
Yeah,
that one.
I've called Lynch, I've told them, everybody I can think of, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's been
It's
some-
getting easier. I mean, the police department has been really cooperative the last couple of years, and,
There's been there's loggers going on up in Canterbury and
yeah,
Northfield, all right, because they, boy,
I talked to
the logs have
Rudy
been going
from
by.
Canterbury a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago and told them to give them a heads up.
Yep.
And I actually I talked to him this morning, and he had called them and said that, don't be driving on our roads Mondays. Actually, they're gonna post Monday too, and I think I've got Guilford and Laconia, we're all on board, so everybody's gonna do Monday.
Sure,
Good,
Okay?
good.
good, thank
Save our
you.
roads.
Awesome.
It is, it's the most important
Yeah.
time of year to,
Mhm.
you know, you can do so much damage in a few weeks, it's, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Especially with this
Thank
warm
you.
spell we got coming.
Yeah,
The
well,
frost
I looked
is-
at the weather, and I told Brian Tuesday when we came in, I said, we gotta do something right now.
Awesome, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Other new business,
Yes, I have two items. Our live stream that we use for broadcasting, our meetings through Lakes Region Public Access, like right now we're live through them, and then we also use Zoom for participation. In May, the live stream that Lakes Region Public Access uses is being bought out by Vimeo. Like LRPA will still broadcast our videos until that point, after that point, they just won't have that live stream option. So the town will have to make a decision to, go with another vendor. So we have kind of three options on the table. We could use YouTube, to stream the videos. A lot of other towns also use that route. That is a free option. We will retain the copyright, but YouTube is allowed to use the videos how they want. I had asked the question as well, what's the real downside to YouTube of other towns? And they said, well, sometimes YouTube's values might not align with yours is kind of the question that's come up in the past. There is Stream Hoster, which is a close fit to what live stream used to be. It does have limitation in storage space, and that will be an annual cost to the town of $1,400. They can do Vimeo, which is when Lakes Region Public Access came and met with me, Colleen said they weren't really good about giving a solid quote or a price for their plans, but they said it's about $1,600 to $2,000 a year for that option. Whichever option we choose, they can, for a fee, migrate all of our past recorded videos to the new platform, whatever platform we use. We've been recording since 2016. They estimate, without knowing how many videos we have exactly, about $1,000 to migrate all that old videos to whatever platform we do. I mean, spent the time and effort to record them for history purposes and for people to look back. It's not
go
that
Travis.
The county uses YouTube to live stream. We've never had issues with them restricting any videos. I'd say just go with YouTube and let them migrate the ones
And I
over.
believe the school is
The
using
school
YouTube.
district does them on
The school's
YouTube.
using YouTube, and I guess if somebody wants to play around with our video, have at it. I mean, What do you,
I know some have suggested Facebook, but I know Facebook is very sensitive. I mean, if someone accidentally swore, they would stop your video and, or
God, I
sometimes
gotta
they
watch
would
my
have
mouth.
your sound if someone happened to play music that you didn't have permission to use. So I don't recommend the Facebook option. Granted, I didn't give that to you as an option, but I kind of just threw that out there. But yes, the county uses it, the school uses YouTube. We did create a YouTube page a few years ago. I think it was during COVID. I don't really remember why we did it, but I think there's a few random videos out there from our meetings. So we could just keep going with that platform, and like I said, they can.
I
moderate
actually,
all
and I don't even know how but I saw the YouTube, when they discussed the results of the school, trying to leave and whatever. And actually, it was it was clear. You could actually understand, the voices, which sometimes people say they don't always understand us. And then I watched a young lady, I think it was, present something about the grading system to the school board. And I saw that on YouTube, and it was very clear, and
I've seen those. That's from a
So
libertarian.
the school has somebody that sits in like where Patrick is with the
Yeah.
guy with the phone on the camera pod. And they record them and broadcast it to YouTube simultaneously. And so he's right in the middle, so like where Patrick is.
Yeah, that's
so
an
it picks up
independent
all the
citizen
other.
doing it. It's a libertarian movement thing. I've seen it. It's an independent citizen doing that.
Yeah.
And so we could just keep using the Zoom format as we do, and then the live stream, I think they would have to just do some coordinating with how we record with that camera up there and transition to the YouTube if we want. Choice is yours, free or annual fee?
YouTube.
I would say YouTube, only because I've happened to see a couple, and they were very clear. Huh?
I'm going with what he said.
You're gonna go with
What are
it?
you gonna do with a flip phone?
Yeah, right. That's right, the flip phone. We got the flip phone guys here. I love it.
And do you want to make a dual motion to go with the YouTube as well as spend the estimated $1,000 to migrate all our past video to the new platform?
You think that's necessary?
If not, we lose everything that we had
Yeah.
from
At least to
2016
keep
to
it.
today.
All right.
Yeah,
That's all.
No way to put them
Don't shoot me.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
like on the website.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got it?
Yep.
Yeah, Colleen's got it.
And then my last thing under other new business, I saw on Facebook yesterday that the high school, the National Honor Society is sponsoring again the Candidates Night, which it looks to be Tuesday, March 5th at
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock at the high school.
Yep, in the cafeteria, that's usually where they have it.
You said 5?
It's at 5.
It's at 5.
Yep.
And that was inviting the Belmont Board of Selectmen, the Canterbury Board of Selectmen, and the school board members.
We'll move on to old business, and that's going to be the town public auction notice.
Yes, I want to update you that after next, March 8th is our town auction of 4 Leisure Lane. It will occur on site at 2 o'clock. And I do have some handouts of the property over there if anyone knows anyone who's interested in bidding.
Okay. Mountain Lake update.
Craig, you wanna come up? A few meetings ago, I had given you guys a draft of the intermunicipal agreement between Laconia and Belmont for the Mountain Lake
That's that project off in,
project. That is, there's homes in Belmont
Yeah.
and homes in Laconia.
Yep.
Craig had looked at it, Karen had looked at it for any issue that we thought, and the one issue that came up was the maintenance of the sidewalks. Talking with Craig to load our sidewalk tractor on a truck and get it over there every time there's a snowstorm is not really feasible and it's not really easy for us to do. So Laconia and Belmont have been in discussions about a plan that would work beneficial for
Another one.
Laconia and Belmont, and I'll let kind of Craig, we do have, Craig and I and Brian and Laconia and legal team have a meeting and Bill Brouillard have a meeting on Friday to discuss what that plan is, so that we can get this signed and move on with our
Is that
project.
meeting still on Friday?
It is.
What time is that meeting?
Sorry. Lawyers,
Said to take me to
they're more
lunch.
important than us.
1:30 Friday, is that here
No, it's
No.
not.
in Laconia?
So I've been trying to, we've been butting heads a little bit on how we're gonna do this. It's basically when Mountain Lake was first initially set up, the roads, roads in Belmont don't have sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I'd have been involved in this 15 or 20 years ago, we probably would have said, you're not putting sidewalks in Belmont. It's just like, it's a country road. So Mountain Lake, it basically, as you know, abuts Mile Hill. Well, there are no sidewalks on Mile Hill. So the Laconia, you have to have sidewalks. So anyway, to make a long story short, I've proposed a couple things to Wes. He's proposed a couple things to me with spreadsheets and blah, 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 and all this stuff, like, why don't you plow this and we'll do this. And so I think we've just gotten to a point where I said to Wes, I said, you know what, you do the sidewalks, we'll do the roads. I just don't know how else we can.
You have to do the roads in this project?
Yeah,
Up to, so where they meet, so we've got a plow to the
Yeah.
Belmont to the Laconia line, and they've got a.
yeah. So there's a Laconia Road and a Belmont Road, and it's kind of all like, it's kind of a mess, so,
What's the matter, when they do the road, do it a little bit wider and paint a white line down the side of it, so you still hit it with a highway plow?
because that's not in Laconia's subdivision specifications.
So, so why don't they just stop the sidewalk at the line and do the white line and no sidewalks on the Belmont side?
I don't know, Karen, why do we do that?
When the subdivision was originally approved back in 2006, the sidewalks were part of the approved plan. It would have to go back to the planning board with an amended plan and meet current subdivision regulations. I'd have to look and see what the differences are between
Take it back.
2006 and now,
Yeah.
but that would.
Like I said, I don't know, if we have to make this happen, that's really kind of the way it's gotta happen. We'll just, it's not a huge development, so we can't physically negotiate going up there and doing the sidewalks. So basically, I also told Wes, because we have been doing a little bit of an equipment swap once in a while, we'll use their Vector, we'll go grade roads for them for a couple days and they'll have a grader.
Yep.
So basically, I told them if they could keep doing the sidewalk on Route 3, because they've been doing that kind of so we don't have to bring our equipment all the way over to the mall.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I basically told them, this is, what I put on the floor is continue to maintain the sidewalk on Route 3 from the Laconia line up to the mall, and do those sidewalks, and we'll plow those, so. I don't think that's a bad trade.
My only question is, I assume this road is going to be built to Laconia specs or Belmont specs?
I believe everything is Laconia subdivision specification.
Okay. And is Laconia requiring an inspector on site when they build these
Oh,
roads?
yeah, because they're gonna do water, they're gonna do, there's
Everything,
not gonna be any sewer in Belmont, because that's been amended.
right.
Because the PUC got involved and all that kind of stuff, because of the different quotes for the rates for the sewer. Alicia knows kind of probably the figures better than I do.
Well, they have
but-
franchise areas too. PUC
Yeah,
requires
so-
franchise areas, so it probably
basically,
doesn't.
the deal was Belmont customers pay so much less in sewer, that if Laconia, they didn't think it would be fair.
So they're gonna do septics in
So
Belmont,
they're gonna do septics in Belmont, they're gonna still have town water,
yeah.
so they're gonna need an inspector for all that too,
All
so.
right. I only,
Who knows, there are things up in the air where this might not even go.
Yeah.
It's,
It's been since 2006,
well, that's
Mr.
what I'm saying,
Rivas.
it's all right,
well, that's why I'm asking about the road conditions and how they're gonna be built,
Yeah.
because, that will affect our equipment.
Yeah, well, Laconia will definitely be there inspecting.
Okay,
Because they'll be doing the sewer, they'll be doing the
Yep.
water, and they'll still be doing the water at Belmont, so.
yeah, all right. Okay. Well, I guess,
I'm just waiting to hear back from Wes.
all right.
We were trying to formulate a plan before we went into the meeting so that we could just move it along.
Yeah.
And get kind of your blessing and understanding that, right?
So I,
Looking at
My
what
blessing would be to
you
just
want.
eliminate the sidewalks on the Belmont side and put a white line. That would be my, and so what's the big deal? So they gotta come back to the planning board and just adjust from a sidewalk to a white line? I'm not, you know,
Well,
whatever.
I mean, the new codes for any new codes between '06 and now.
Well, you'd have to have
I
a,
think it's all been, I think it's, the problem is, and Karen could probably say, it, it's all been approved.
yeah,
So it's all been, you guys, we've already put the stamp on the thing, so to go back and take the stamp off,
oh,
I think
Alright.
that's gonna be,
Okay.
that's gonna be more work than you guys.
I would say if, sorry, Karen, if Laconia,
What's that?
You'd be opening a bigger can of worms,
Yeah,
by
that's what I'm
opening it back up.
yeah, probably.
if Laconia would agree to what you proposed, and if you think that's the best interest of the town and cost efficient for you guys, I wouldn't be opposed to it.
That, well, it's really the only alternative. And if we can kinda get the, you know, if we can kinda keep them doing the Route 3 thing,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
saves too.
it's huge, because
Good swap off,
well, I
yeah.
can't, I mean, we were having to drive our machine all the way over there after we did town, and
No, I am,
so it's, I mean, what are we gonna do, drive it down there, then drive it up to Mountain Lake, and then drive it back to Levitt Road?
Yep.
Or, you know, just,
well, and having the use of the vac truck is huge.
oh, yeah.
And, you know, we've got the grader that it doesn't hurt it to work a little bit more than what it
Yeah,
does
couple
because
days
it
here and
keeps
there.
it lubricated. Okay, all right, I don't have a
We
problem.
all work well together, you know, so it's.
Handle it.
Handle it,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. Any other old business?
I just have a update, Craig had asked a couple meetings back about when Comcast would be done in Belmont. I got a email this morning from our contact at Comcast, and he said, we expect to have our infrastructure fully deployed on the town streets later this summer. The exact date is tough to nail down, as we are beholden to the make-ready process of the utility poles. As we get closer, I will be sure to keep you posted.
Okay, so in other words, we can't answer that, we don't know. Neither do they. All right, any other old business? All right, does anyone have any? No? Nothing? All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for March 6th, and we have non-public,
Yes.
91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, letter
I here, I'll be right back though.
END. All right. Roll call,
Travis?
John?
Ruth?
Sonny?
Sharon? Thank you, everyone.
On my town, a little independent truck this week, we're going by the old Grange Hall on 107.
Yeah?
I'm talking on the phone. We're still recording.
Oh, we're still recording.
I'm talking on the phone, and I'm waving it up and way back, and I get the phone, and he starts laughing, he said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
He said, "What?"
I said, you're gonna get a fucking ticket. And so,